Okay. This the thing about walking in the spirit of the Most High and seeking his righteousness on a daily basis. And that's what I mean when I say walking in the spirit. And I believe the Bible says that also when he says walk in the spirit and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. What that means is a daily partaking of the Most High spirit of righteousness. That's what it means to walk in the spirit. Taking of his spirit of righteousness, a daily surrender to that spirit of holiness, righteousness, and truth. You can only, as your heart is committed to follow holiness, righteousness, and truth. You cannot receive nor walk in the spirit of Yah unless you are decidedly willing and determined to follow that spirit. Now, the spirit will always point us to the word. Always point us to the word. The spirit will always point us to the word, to the covenant more specifically. The covenant of Yah, as well, I want to just review that as we go forward here. The covenant of Yah is commonly referred to as what? The covenant of Yah is commonly referred to as the Ten Commandments, right? We know that. The covenant is commonly referred to as the Ten Commandments. But the Bible calls it the covenant more than it calls it the Ten Commandments. It speaks it more often than not. It will, when it's talking about the Ten Commandments, it will call it the covenant, which means the agreement. Okay. And what does it mean when it says an agreement? It's an agreement that the ones entering into the covenant, and he has told us that as a synopsis of it in the Psalms 105 or 106. I'm going to find it right now. It's either Psalm 105, 106. There's a synopsis of it there. When he enters into covenant with someone, there's an agreement that they are going to obey that which is the covenant, those principles of the covenant. And he is promising to bless the obedient one. He is promising to be with the obedient one and bless them. Exactly. It's exactly. It's exactly like that, except it's better than that. That's good, Sister Kim. It's like marriage vows, but it's better. It's more sure, right, than a marriage vow, because it's coming from one who cannot lie, who never forgets, and whose word always comes to pass, right? So praise the Most High, yes. But in Psalms 105, it gives us a synopsis of this covenant. Notice what it says in Psalms 105. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 10 of Psalm 105. From verse 1 down to verse 10. Oh, give thanks unto Yahweh. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him. Sing psalms unto him. Talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek Yahweh. Seek Yahweh and his strength. Seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Yaakov, his chosen. He is Yahweh, our Elohim. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Yasharal for an everlasting covenant. It's the same throughout. So what he gave to the nation on Mount Sinai is the same thing he gave to Isaac, is the same thing he gave to Abraham. Okay, it's the same thing. When he said to Noah, He said to Noah, let me get the words exactly in Genesis chapter 6, or is it chapter 7 of Genesis? He said the words unto Noah. Let's take a look at that. Genesis chapter 7. No, Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. Notice what it says, Genesis chapter 6. He tells something to Noah very interesting here. Genesis 6, verse 18. Notice it's Genesis 6, verse 18. He says to Noah, but with thee will I establish what? My covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. Notice he said, with thee, that is with Noah, I will establish. That's why I say Noah is the representative of the 144,000. He had 7 with him. 7 is a perfect number. It was Noah and the 7. Noah and the people that were with Noah. So the 144,000 representing Noah and the people that received their message. And he said, with thee, that is with Noah, I will establish my covenant. It's the same covenant. You see what they do in these churches is they try to say, well, there's a Noah covenant, there's an Abraham covenant, there's a Moses covenant, and they try to make it as though they're all different. But we just read there in Psalms that what he said to Abraham, to Isaac, Jacob, and to the nation is the same covenant. It's not different. It's the same, commonly referred to 10 commandments. What does that mean? It's more than just words on stone. It is a spirit of righteousness. And again, we talk about this. The Bible says, all thy commandments are righteousness. So the commandments of Yah, the covenant of Yah, is righteousness. What else is righteousness? He is righteousness. He is righteous and holy, right? He says, be ye holy, for I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am holy. So the covenant is a representation of his spirit, of who he is. And so those that enter into covenant with him are agreeing to partake of his spirit of righteousness and to perform the law of righteousness that he gives us by his spirit. And he is promising that I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless your children. I'm going to give you eternal life, an everlasting covenant. That's eternal life. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? So Messiah came. What did the Bible call him? The Gospel of Yochanan. He said he is the Word made flesh. He is the living version of the covenant. He is the living version of the law. That's Messiah. Without sin, perfect in righteousness. And that's why the Bible also says in the gospel, in the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 23, prophet Jeremiah chapter 23, talking about Messiah. Notice in chapter 23 of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 23, I'm going to begin at verse 5, and I'm going to go down to verse 8. Prophet Jeremiah, from verse 5 to verse 8, notice what it says. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a Malach, or a king, shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Yasha'al shall dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called Yahweh Asadak. Yahweh Asadak, or Yahweh our righteousness. He's a representation of the Father's righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Yasha'al out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Yasha'al out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So Messiah is not the Father. Messiah is the representation of the Father's righteousness in flesh. Does that make sense? Everybody follow? Because people get that confused. People try to say, well, I'm just praying to Jesus. And other people, I'm just praying to the Father. No. Messiah is a representation of the Father's righteousness. You cannot get to the Father except through Messiah. Because Messiah represents perfect righteousness to the Father for you and for me. That's why we can't get to the Father without Messiah's righteousness, who is a representation of his own Father's righteousness, because the Father's not looking at sin. He destroys sin. And so he set forth his own Son as our representation for us so that he can communicate with us. Now, all that being said, I have noticed some phenomena And that's what I brought all that out to say, as you are seeking the righteousness of Father, and you are seeking to be in the covenant with the Father, and to be obedient to the spirit of righteousness and to receive the spirit of righteousness, the Father keeps revealing things to you. Yes, you must pray. That's exactly right. Wow, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. And that's how you get in. It's like you can't get into the club unless you know somebody, right? Well, you know the Son, right? That's how you get into the club. You know the Son. That's how you get in. You can't get in without the Son because you need righteousness to walk in that club, right? So the Most High will continue to cause you, as you daily seek his spirit of righteousness, you will be walking in the spirit. That's what the Bible says, walk in the spirit and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. That's how you do it. You walk in the spirit on a daily basis by committing to receive righteousness from the Father, by committing to relinquish your sin in the blood of the Messiah, by continually seeking to wear that robe on a day by day. And as you walk in the spirit, he'll show you truths. He'll show you more truths because the Father taught us through Messiah. Messiah said, cast not your pearls before the swine. And then he gave a reason. He said, because if you cast pearls before the swine, they're going to trample all over your pearls and they're going to turn around and attack you. That's what he said. That's what people do when they don't want the truth. They attack you. First, they trample all over the truth you might have shared with them. Then they turn around and attack you. Isn't that what happens? So, and those type of people are not going to get any light from the Most High Yah. He's not going to show them anything more. You see, because he's taught us not to cast pearls before swine. He's certainly not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Okay? He's not going to do it. He's not going to give people more truth if they're not walking in the truth he's already shown them. So in other words, if he's showing you, for example, that the seventh day is the Sabbath, he's not going to show you anything else until you move on that truth that he's already shown. He's not going to give you anything else. Okay? When you move on that truth and you start to accept that truth, and you start to walk in the direction of that truth, now he's going to show you more. Okay? Because he's not going to show you stuff if you've already rejecting pearls he's already give you. All right? But the people of the Most High in the last days are not rejecting truth. They're not. What they're doing is embracing it and they're receiving it. And it's hard sometimes. Brothers and sisters, anybody tell you it's easy to receive the truth, they're lying to you. Why do I know that? Because brothers and sisters, by nature, we are sinners. By nature. We are born in sin and shaping iniquities. Our nature to sin. So when truth comes to us, it's distasteful at first. And it even may be sweet in our mouth, but bitter in our belly, just like Connor. He said, it was sweet to taste in my mouth, but it was bitter in my belly. Why? Because you're going against your nature. It's supernatural for you to go against your nature. It's not natural. It's supernatural. That's why Messiah said, all heaven rejoices over one sinner that repents. Because for us to be walking in the path of righteousness is a miracle from the Most High Yah. That in itself is a miracle. And the Bible says, few there be that find it. Few. Broad is the gate and wide is the way that leads to destruction. Many go that way. These are, and he's talking about religious people. He's not even dealing with. The Bible says judgment begins at the house of Yah. And if it begins at the house of Yah, what's going to happen to those that don't obey the gospel? That don't walk in the truth? They finished. No shot. That's why I say to you, brothers and sisters, pray for your acquaintances, the people you work with, the people you deal with on a daily basis, the persons that you see every day. Pray for them. Pray for your family that you love. Pray for your people that you know. Pray for the people that you friends that you grew up with. Pray for them. You might be the only person that whose prayers are going to get heard for them. You might be the only one whose prayers might be heard on their behalf. You might be the only one. Okay? But I've noticed some phenomena. One thing I've noticed, which is coming to pass, Isaiah 57, verse 1 and 2. Isaiah 57, verse 1 and 2. The Bible says in Isaiah 57, 1 and 2, the righteous perisheth and no man layeth it to heart. and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. What is this? Have you noticed people people die every day, but there are people that are dying at young ages of heart attacks, cancer, people that you weren't expecting to die, people that you thought were healthy, even people that you saw, being pretty faithful, like not in maybe in the truth that we know, but in the truth that they know. There are people that are in Christianity, for example, that are being put to rest by the Most High. My wife and I have been noticing this over the last several years. And they're being put to rest, and they were faithful. And some of them we had hoped, my wife and I had hopes for them to come into the knowledge of the present truth that we now know, but they never got that opportunity. I know one sister, we both know she was a vegan, she was healthy, she was very health conscious, and she was very interested in truth. And she was in a church, a Christian church, but we felt like she was going to be coming to the truth. And suddenly, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, she felt a pain in her back and in her abdomen. She felt a pain. She thought she had strained herself. No, I'm not talking about her. She thought she had strained herself. And that was in March of that year. That's no problem. By May of that year, she was dead. She was gone. They found that she had stage 4 cancer and nobody knew it. She had stage 4 cancer and she perished just like that. Within 2 months, she was gone. And we're finding that that's happening to people because the Most High is allowing certain people to be put to sleep. And why is that? Because they would want the truth, but they may not be able to handle it. So in order to save them, he puts them to rest. There are some that not only won't handle it, but trample upon them. But there's others that just won't handle it because, brothers and sisters, the brainwashing of Christianity is strong. We cannot deny. The brainwashing of Christianity is strong, man. It is. And sometimes to save people who have been faithful in that religion, the Most High will put them to rest. He won't let them even see what's getting ready to come. He won't even say, he just put them to rest. But don't let people think that because he's putting certain ones to rest, that he is down with their false religion, because he's not. Okay, and that brings me to another verse in Isaiah that I saw. It happened to be in Yeshaya today quite a bit, but notice Isaiah chapter 48. Isaiah chapter 48. Isaiah 48. I'm going to read from verse 1. From verse 1 down to verse, let's see. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 10. Notice what it says, Isaiah 48 from 1 to 10. Hear ye this, O house of Yaakov, which are called by the name of Yasha'al, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of Yahweh, and make mention of the Elohim of Yasha'al, but not in truth, nor in righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the Elohim of Yasha'al. Yahweh of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them, and I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. Because I know that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it come to pass, I showed it thee, lest thou shouldest say, mine idol have done them, and my graven image and my molten image have commanded them. Thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things. Thou didst not know them. They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou shouldest say, behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not. Yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time thy ear was not open, for I knew that thou wast deal very treacherously, and was called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. That's us. That's us. He's chosen for us the furnace of affliction. And he's showing us things we didn't know, we never heard before. He's showing us things that are convicting our hearts to truth. But the beginning of what we read, there are people still stuck. They call themselves under the name of God and Lord, and they call themselves, they say, oh, I love God. I go to church, but not in truth, nor in righteousness. And I see this, and have you noticed, brothers and sisters, as you have been turned on to the present truth, and you try to share it with some people, they don't want to talk to you about it. It's not like they want to investigate it and find what you're saying is not true. They don't even want to discuss it. Have you noticed that? They want to ignore the subject altogether. Have you noticed that? Why is that? Why do you think that is? They don't even want to talk to you about it. You know why that is, brothers and sisters? Because if they were to listen to what the conviction of the Spirit that's coming from your mouth, they'd have to investigate what they believe. And if they investigated and found it not true, they would have to make decisions that they don't want to make. And that is at the end of the day, that's what it's coming down to. People are trying to avoid making these eternal decisions. Why? Because it's inconvenient for them. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Abraham was in Ur of the Chaldees. You know, he was in Ur of the Chaldees. That is a heathen land of the children of Ham. That's where he was. And he was comfortable there. The Bible never said he wasn't comfortable. Matter of fact, let us look at it. Not only that, his father was comfortable there, but his father was being called to, his father Terah was being called to Canaan, away from there. His father stopped and got comfortable in Ur of the Chaldees. Let's take a look at it. Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11. I'm going to read from verse 27 down to chapter 12, verse 3. Actually, from chapter 12, verse 4. Notice what it says. Now, these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of Ishkah. But Sarai was barren. She had no child. And Terah took Abram, his son, and Lot, his son Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. And Yahweh said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Now look. You think it's easy? You 75 years old. You live in a place all your life. You think it's easy just get up and move to a place you don't even know? You think it's easy just pack up and just leave after you've been there all that time? No, it's not easy. But he went out on faith. He heard the spirit of righteousness from the Most High, and he followed that spirit. That's what it's going to take to stand with the 144,000. The people that are not going to move on the conviction because it's inconvenient, because they don't want to have to face that decision of possibly leaving their beloved church, whatever church it might be, or the church of their fathers. See, this is the thing, brothers and sisters. I myself, I was a fourth generation SDA. I wasn't the first one in my family coming to that church. My mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother and great-father, they were in that church. I'm fourth generation. And so it was tradition. But when the Most High called me out of that church, I have to follow truth. You know why? Because truth, brothers and sisters, is more precious than anybody's church. Truth has to be more precious than everything. So that when we're convicted by the spirit of righteousness on truth, we got to be willing to go wherever the Most High sends us, whether it be in Alaska or down in Australia or in Africa or wherever, to the small little town, wherever he sends you, you got to be willing to go. Abraham was. Most High said, get away from your kindred, get away from your father's house, because they weren't going. They started and act like they were going to go, but then they stopped. See, they were on their way, but then they stopped in Haran. You understand? They stopped. And Abraham, he said, he saw in Abraham a heart that would follow him all the way. And he said, look, I want you to come. And he promised him some serious promises. He said, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make your name great. You're going to be a blessing. I'm going to bless them that bless you. I'm going to curse them that curse you. And in your seed, in you, all the families of the earth are going to be blessed. That's serious promises. And they were walking out into the desert, brothers and sisters. They were walking out with some tents and some camels and some goods into the desert. People say, well, Abraham was rich. What that money going to do for him in the desert? What are you going to buy? Huh? What are you going to buy? What gold he carried that's going to buy him something in the desert? Out in the middle of nowhere. Okay? People need to get off that tip, man. It ain't about money these days. It's about righteousness and truth in the spirit of the Father through the name of the Most High Yah and his son Yahweh Shah. They had to leave. See, right now, I'm noticing people are afraid. People are afraid to talk about anything that's not in their church. Christians, I'm talking about Christians right now. They're afraid to talk about anything that's not in their church. Why? Because they're afraid of what they might hear. See, it used to be when I was in the SDA church, I remember one time, I told this story before, but many of y'all didn't hear because some of y'all knew, but some of y'all that's been with me a while, like Bathaman, I've heard it, and Isha Shama, she's heard it before, but I'm going to say it for y'all. I first joined the SDA church. I was serious. I wanted to serve the Most High. I wanted to serve him, right? And I wanted to have a godly woman with me. I wasn't going to just go with any girl that just looked good in a pair of tight jeans. I needed somebody that was going to be godly. Okay. So one day I was working as a temp in this place. And there's this young brother. Me and him were both young. I guess I must have been 21. He must have been about the same age. Both of us was young, just basically coming out of boyhood into manhood. And we got off work together. And he pulled out a marijuana joint. Now, prior to me knowing the Most High, I'd have taken a puff. He asked me if I wanted a puff. I said, no, I don't want any, man. He said, oh, you all religious now and all that. I said, no, I just, I don't want none. That's all. I'm good. So we started walking through Manhattan. We was in lower Manhattan at that time. And we getting ready to get on the subway. And it was summertime. And in New York City in the summertime, you see the most beautiful women on earth in New York City in the summertime from all over the world, because every nation is represented in New York City. So we walked and he said, man, too bad you a Christian, boy, because you can't go after all these honeys out here. You see all these honeys out here? And I said, I'm not looking for them. I'm looking for one. I'm looking for one special one. I'm looking for a certain type. He said, really? And we walked into the subway, we went through the turnstile. And I noticed a young lady. She was about my age, about our age. Turns out she was 18. We find out later. I found out later she was 18. She had on a long flowing dress, pretty dress, colorful dress. Conservatively had her hair put in a bun back and had a Bible in her hand. And I say, see that right there? I said, that's what I'm looking for. I said, I got to catch you later, man. I got to go talk to this girl. So I walked up to her. And I said, sister, I see you got a Bible in your hand. She said, yes, I do. She said, would you like to read it with me? I said, what? I said, yeah. I couldn't believe my fortune. I said, not only is she fine, she holy. So I said, oh, shoot. Yeah, sister, I want to read the Bible with you. She opened up to the Gospel of John. Now, my two favorite books, even at that time, were Deuteronomy and John. I said, I can't believe this. She opened up to the Gospel of John. She said, would you like to read the Gospel of John with me? I said, absolutely. So she put her Bible in my hand, and I started to read it, right? Now, I tell you, this Gospel of John And Deuteronomy, my favorite books, even at that time, I had memorized most of John. I mean, I knew the stuff by heart, but I could keep reading it because I loved it. So I'm starting to read Gospel of John, and something is wrong. I'm reading it, and the words just don't seem right. It's not the words that I read in the King James. And I'm looking at this book, and she sees my face, and she said, "What's wrong, brother?" I said, "Well," I said, "something is wrong with this book." And I was not trying to make fun of the book. I was just talking at what's on my mind at that moment. I said, "Something is wrong with this Bible, man, because this is not the Gospel of John I read." And she snatched it out of my hand. She said, "Nothing wrong with my Bible." I said, "Oh, no. See, I'm not trying to offend the sister. I'm trying to get with her, right?" So I'm like, no. I'm not trying to say something wrong with your Bible, but this is not the Bible I read." She said, "Would you like?" She said, "This is the New World Translation." See, she was a Jehovah's Witness. I wasn't familiar with them that much. I mean, I had heard of them, but I wasn't familiar with them. So I said, "Oh." She said, "Would you like to have a Bible study with me and my brother?" I said, "Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to have a Bible study with you and your brother." And so she said, so we set a time. So I came back to my church that week. We were going to get together that following Sunday after they got out of church. And so I came to my church, the SDA church, on that Sabbath, and I let all the sisters and brothers know this. I ran to this girl, and she's a Jehovah's Witness, and we're gonna have Bible study tomorrow. And you know what they said to me? "Oh, brother, why are you gonna study with them? Oh no, don't go with them. They'll turn your heart." And I was like, "Wait, what? I mean, what?" I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Oh, they'll have you going to there." I said, "Wait a minute. I joined this church," and I said that. I said, "I joined this church because I thought it was the truth." They said, "Well, it is the truth." I said, "Well, if it's the truth, why are you afraid to talk to anybody else's religion? If it's the truth, why are you afraid to have them come? If it's the truth, it should be able to stand up against anything." I mean, that's what I believe. So they were like, "Well, that's true, but you're not experienced. You don't know what you're dealing with, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "But didn't the spirit and I said at the time, didn't the spirit of the Lord lead me here? Didn't he lead me through his word? So why wouldn't he lead me against some Jehovah's Witnesses?" And they were scared, man. They had me scared because they were older, brother, and I was young. I was only like 21. So I said, "Okay, now y'all got me scared. So I'm gonna have to fast, man." So I started fasting from that day, from the afternoon of the Sabbath, all the way through when I met them at 12 o'clock on that next Sunday. I fasted. I fasted for that whole time. I said, "Man, I don't know whether I'm in trouble or whatever." So at 12 o'clock sharp, they showed up. It was her and her real brother, like her blood brother, was with her. They came in and we started studying the scriptures. And I want to tell you the honest truth. It didn't take long for me to establish that they was in a lie. It did not take long for me to establish to them with their Bible and my Bible that what they were believing was not true. It did not take long for me to establish. I mean, he came out, "Well, let's look at Exodus 31 on the Sabbath. Let's look at this." And by the time I was finished, and I was young in the faith, I was young in the scriptures, and I was able to break them down from the scriptures. So that by the time, and I was speaking to them and I was showing them, they closed their Bibles. They both closed their Bibles, and they said, the Bible study's finished now." And I said to her, I said, "You know what?" And I said, just what I said, with the point I'm making today. I said to her, I said, "You follow the Jehovah." I said, "Is your father a Jehovah's Witness?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Is your mother?" He said, "Yeah." I said, so you know that if you left that faith, if you found something else and you left that church, they would kick you out your house, wouldn't they? Out their house. Why? They'd kick you right out." She said, "Yeah." I said, "That's why you can't follow the truth, because you're afraid to, because if you follow the truth, they'll kick you out. It ain't because what you believe is really true." And she didn't answer me. She didn't say nothing. Her and her brother God, he stood up first. He said, "We got to leave now." And they left. And I never heard back from them again, because they knew I was telling the truth. And that's the thing, brothers and sisters. If you are afraid to talk to people about what you believe because you're afraid they're going to turn you, or you're afraid that what you believe won't stand up to them, then you ain't following the truth. You're not. You can't be. Because the truth will stand up to anything. Now, I'm not saying you need to stand and study with everybody that approaches you, but I'm saying you shouldn't be afraid of anybody's religion, because if you're following the truth, then it's the truth. You understand? And this is the thing, just for y'all that run into folks like this. Justification by faith is none of them have it. None of them have it. None of them have it. And let me tell you, with regard to them demon-possessed brothers called Jehovah's Witnesses, them lying people called Jehovah's Witnesses, let me tell you with regard to them. Let me tell you one of the many ways they are broken down and their doctrine is false. Do you know Jehovah's Witnesses will not receive a blood transfusion? You know that, right? You know they will not receive a blood transfusion. You know that's part of their religion, right? You know they will not receive that. Do you know why they won't receive a blood transfusion? Why won't they receive a blood transfusion? Do you know why they won't receive a blood transfusion? Because in the book of Acts, it says you shouldn't eat blood, right? So they say we're not going to, if we receive the transfusion, it's like we're eating blood. That's what they believe, right? So they will let people, they have let people, human beings made in the image of Yah, they have let people die for lack of a blood transfusion because they believe that by taking a blood transfusion, they're eating blood. Yeah. But they will go to McDonald's and eat a bloody hamburger. They will go to Outback Steakhouse and have a bloody steak. And they'll say, well, we're allowed to eat everything. So I said, you can't be allowed to eat everything and then say you don't eat blood. Either it's all or it's nothing. What is it? And they can't answer. None of them can answer. You know why? Because it's hypocrisy. So you're going to eat a bloody pig, but you'll let a human being die for lack of a blood transfusion. You say you don't want to eat blood. You'll go to McDonald's and order a fast burger that's made of nothing but blood and guts, and you will let a human being or a baby even die because you won't give them a blood transfusion because of your religion. That's hypocrisy in the highest sense. Hypocrisy is your religion. Okay, and that's just one point. There's a lot of points. But the point of justification by faith, whereby your sin is taken off of you, which we went through last night, and the Most High replaces your sin with righteousness and tells you that by the Spirit of righteousness, you can obey all his commandments. There is no excuse. No church has that. Not the SDA church, not the Jehovah's Witness, like the Mormons. No church has that. None of them. Because if they get a glimpse of it, and I had a glimpse of it one time when I was in the SDA church, just a glimpse, you see, but the fire gets put out. The more you can, and I didn't realize it at the time, the more I keep coming back to that church, the fire gets put out. I got a glimpse of it one day, and I felt so much freedom and power. And then all of a sudden I came back to the church and it just went away. And I was so frustrated. Why did it go away? Why can't I see it anymore? And it wasn't until I left the SDA church. And I didn't know it was going to happen like that. The Most High had me leave. He had them both kick me out and had me leave at the same time. They said, good riddance, brother. And I said, good riddance to y'all. And at that moment, when that happened, everything started becoming clearer. Everything started making sense. And then the doctrine of justification by faith was immediately brought back to me. And then I understood it. And then I received the power that I had been only getting a glimpse of before. Now I was getting it in its fullness. Now I was walking in victory. And it didn't matter about anybody's church or anybody's institution. As long as I had the Most High Spirit of righteousness with me, nothing else mattered. And that's what happened with Abraham. That's what's going to happen to all the people that follow truth. But people don't have that. They don't receive that power. They only get little glimpses of it. It's like trying to start a cigarette lighter. I'm not suggesting you smoke cigarettes, but if you're trying to light something like a candle and the lighter just keeps flickering and it doesn't come on, right? That's what people in them churches, they get glimpses of light, but they can't get the light, can't stay on. It won't stay on. There's not enough fuel in the tank for it to stay on. Because they only have part of the truth. And they're afraid to investigate, particularly if they have been in these denominations for decades or their generations, like I was. They was in these denominations. They don't want to mess around because that they might have to look at what they believe with a strong light, and they might have to look at it on, in an objective way, and it might cause them to have to make changes that they are not ready to make. Those folks will have no mercy from the Most High. He's having mercy on them right now by allowing his Spirit to keep convicting them, to give them no rest. Because believe it, you don't have to actually see it with your eyes, but believe it. When you speak truth to somebody, it sticks with them. It bothers them. You don't have to even leave. You might say something that's truth from the word. They might say something, and then you might come back with something. You don't have to say anything else. Leave it. Because that truth is going to eat at them. It's going to eat at them. It's going to bother them. See, it won't bother you because you know you're walking in it. It's not going to bother you. Because you're walking in it. And if the Most High shows you more, you're walking that too. Even if it's uncomfortable, you're walking it because you want to what? Because you want to serve, you want to give honor and glory. Brothers and sisters, The only reason we exist on this planet is to give honor and glory to the Father. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That's the only reason we exist on this planet, man. We don't exist on this planet for ourselves. We don't exist on this planet to give glory to man. We don't exist on this planet to enrich ourselves, to become famous on the earth. We exist on this planet for one reason only. It is to give honor and glory to the Most High Yah, our Father in heaven. Reason we exist on this planet. And sometimes it means we got to open our mouth, and Sister Bathaman, sometimes it means we got to keep our mouth shut, doesn't it? Sometimes it means we got to shut up. Sometimes it means we got to open our mouth, and sometimes it means we got to shut up. But it always means we reflect the spirit of righteousness, regardless, whether our mouth is open or because we ask his spirit to come upon us on a daily, and he does it, and we walk in his spirit. That's really, sometimes that's why we don't have to talk. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Just the presence of the spirit of the Most High upon you says all the things you need to say. Because brothers and sisters, it's not our words. Truth. Conviction of the spirit that causes people to come to the truth. Spirit sometimes uses our words, but it's the spirit's conviction that causes people to come to the truth. And most people, are avoiding it like they're avoiding it like the plague. They don't want to talk. And my wife and I have people that we have known for 10, 20, 30 years sometimes, and they don't even want to discuss. And the thing is that amazes me that I'm kind of over it now, but at first it amazed me and disappointed me is that when I was in the SDA church, right? If somebody left the church and said they didn't believe what we believed anymore, I would seek them out and say, okay, tell me what you believe and why you believe it. And let's go through the scriptures and see why you arrive at the conclusion you arrive at. I wouldn't avoid them. I want to go see, especially if it was somebody that was a friend of mine. I'm like, look, I want to show me from this. Let's search the scriptures and see what it says. Expected that when I left the SDA church, I expected the people that had sat down and ate with, and I expected the people that I had prayed with to come and seek out, brother, why are you teaching these things? Where are you getting this from in the scriptures? And they wouldn't do it. And the two people that did, my wife was a witness, the two people that did, when I started bringing them the scriptures, they started trying to retreat into Ellen White. And when I said, no, come from the scriptures, the boy started yelling at me and getting mad. And then he had to apply. Oh, brother, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I acted like that. I'm sorry. I thought you were SDA. And I said, that's the point. Y'all came here. I'm not SDA. I'm in the scriptures. And you said you're going to show me from the scriptures why I was wrong. So let's go into the scriptures. And when they couldn't bring it, they started retreating into Ellen White. And when they couldn't come back with the scriptures, they got frustrated and started yelling. And then he, at least he had the temerity to apologize. I'm sorry for yelling in your house, brother. I'm sorry for bringing it. I shouldn't have come like that. But you know, I'm sorry. See? But no, it wasn't to bring them back. It was to make sure that I was in truth and follow and to show them if they wasn't, that they wasn't in truth. That's really what it come down to. And I'm still the same way, but now I got to be careful because most people don't want to hear it. I'm really now in this present truth of the Hebrew Israelite truth, the present truth that we know in the justification by faith message. Most people don't want to hear it. They don't want to. Because either they're afraid of the response of their family members, their fellow church members, of the inconvenience that they have to move from their church or move into another direction, the way Abraham was told to leave the Chaldees. They're afraid and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with that. But let me tell you something. I've gotten to the point. This is the thing, brothers and sisters. I've gotten to the point where I just pray for them. Sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes I won't even pray for him. Sometimes I do if I'm convicted to pray for him, but sometimes I don't even pray for him no more. I don't. Unless the Most High shows me to do it, I'll do it. If he doesn't show me, I won't. Because brothers and sisters, we're living at a time where we need to support each other in the truth, right? Notice again what the scripture said. We need to support each other in the truth. People that are not interested in it, we can't be interested in them. We got to move on. You understand? We got to move on. Notice what it says in the book of Malachi. Malachi chapter 3. Malachi chapter 3. Malachi 3 from verse 16, 17, and 18. Malachi chapter 3, verse 16, 17, and 18. Praise the Most High Yah. Praise the Most High Yah, Akshama. Notice what it says. Then they that feared Yahweh spake often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it. And the book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith Yahweh of hosts. In that day when I make up my jewels, I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth Elohim and him that serveth him not. You see, so he's telling us we should encourage one another in the truth. There's few of us. And that's why I don't argue with people. See, I call Messiah Yahushua. There's some people that call him Yahushua. There's some people that call him Yeshua. And I don't argue with them about that. There's some people that try to argue with me, and I refuse to argue with them. I'm convicted that it's Yahushua. But I'm not going to fight with you over that. We all understand it's not Jesus. Right? We all understand it's not Jesus. We understand that. And argue for somebody to be right, that's just fanaticism right there. You understand? That's just fanaticism. If you convicted that it's Yeshua, okay. You convicted it's Yahushua, okay. You convicted it's Yahushua, fine. But the conviction came because you know it's not with the J, okay? So people don't argue and fight with people. We should be encouraging each other in the truth. Not all the Hebrews are on the same page right now. All of us are coming down the same pike, down the same narrow road of truth, but we're not all at the same place. And those of us that are interested in following the Most High truth, we should understand that. Those that want to fight and argue, they may not even really be in the truth. Because people trying to fight and argue ain't of the spirit of the Most High. That's the spirit of Asatan. That's one of the signs when they try to fight and argue. Okay? Nobody has ever won to the truth really by fighting and arguing. What you do is you convert somebody to become an arguer and a fighter like you. That's all you do. You don't bring somebody to the Most High that way, though. Okay? And the Most High don't need arguers. He needs people that walk in the spirit, that don't fulfill the lust of the flesh by walking in the spirit of truth and righteousness for his name's sake. That's right. So we do the best that we can with the conviction that we receive. You understand? We do the best that we can with the conviction that we receive. I don't despise somebody says, I'm convicted to call him Yeshua, or I'm convicted to call him Yeshaya, I'm convicted to call the Most High Ahaya. Fine. I'm not going to argue with you about that. People say, well, you lost because you call him Yahushua, or you call him Yahweh. You can't be, you're not right. And listen, man, I'm not going to argue with you. That's a fanatic talking right there. Right. I feel that way too, Wild. I feel the same way. Yah is the brute. It could be Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. I don't really like Yahweh, but whatever. Right? Yahweh, Yahuwah. Some people say Yahuwah. They turn the W into a U and they say Yahuwah. And they forgot that A after that H, but that's okay. They say Yahuwah. Okay. Right? And I like the name Ahaya because I believe it's both. It's Ahaya and Yahweh. And I showed y'all that one time from the concordance, that is both. One is speaking in the first person and one in the third person. One says I exist and the other one says Yah exists. Okay. One is 1961, one is 1933 in your Strong's Hebrew side. One is Ahaya and the other one's Hawa. 1961, 1933. Look it up. Yahweh or Ahaya. I am or I exist or Yah exists. I believe they're both the same. Okay? But some people, so they're going to fight and argue. We're not living at a time when we're trying to fight and argue. We're living at a time when we're trying to search the scriptures and find truth. We're living at a time where we're going to walk in the spirit and we're prepared to receive the seal of his perfect righteousness. That's the time we're living in. That's what we're looking for. And why? Because we're trying to do what we're born to do, to bring honor and glory to the name. Well, you see, I'll show you that real quick. Notice this, Wild. Turn like that. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to break it up like this. Right? That's okay. Now notice that. Notice that. Okay. But now what they forgot is this one. Watch this. They forgot that A. So when you put that A in there, How does it sound? When you put that A in there, how does that sound? What sound does that make when that A is in there? The two A's with the U in between them, because that's where it's supposed to be. They forgot that A. So what sound is there when the two A's are between the U? You know, say it. You can say it to yourself. How does it say? This is it. This is it. Like this. Yahweh. That's what it sounds like. Yahweh. You see that? Yahweh. That's why I come with Yahweh. But like I said, people say Yahuwah. Fine. I ain't arguing with them, right? Or Yahweh, fine, right? Fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not arguing with them. But we're seeking to bring glory and honor to the Father. That is more important than anybody's church. That is more important than anybody's fellowship. That is more important than any mother, father, brother, sister, family. Bringing honor and glory to the Father is the most important thing of all. And I'm only talking about the people that are in the truth. To the people that are in the truth, that's the most important thing. And when you are giving honor and glory to the Father, and you understand justification by faith, being declared innocent, and you understand that it is the Father through Messiah that has done that for you, you cannot give glory to anybody's church. It will bother you to give glory to any man aside from the Most High and the Messiah himself. It'll be a distaste in your mouth, because you can't give man glory for what the Most High has done. And when they're trying to glorify these Christian denominations, they're seeking to give glory to man, not the Most High. And they want you to think that it's the same thing, and it's not. The Most High in the Bible never created a Christian denomination. He never did it. He has a nation, and it's the children of Yasha'al, the children of the chosen seed of Isaac. That's his nation. Right? That's his nation. Praise the Most High Yah. Y'all following that? Testing 1, 2, 3. Y'all feeling that? That's what I'm saying. So in these last days, don't concern yourself with people, even if this, and my wife and I experience it, people that we really love, that we care about. If they're not interested in talking to you about the truth, you can't be bothered. You can't be bothered. Because there's people out here that are interested. There's people out here that you don't even know, that they're strangers to you, but they're interested in the truth, and the Most High is going to have them cross your path so you can share with them the truth that you know. You can share with them justification by faith. You can share with them the truth of the Hebrew Messiah. You can share with them the truth of this present time. You can give it to them. Don't worry about the people that are not interested. Concern yourself with the people that are. That makes sense, brothers and sisters? 144,000. The truth is more precious to them than anything. Anything. Praise the Most High. We have to pray, though, because we have to pray that the Most High sends more, and we know he will. There's more out here. We just don't see them on our YouTube channel. There's people out here that are interested, that are seeking, that are following. We just don't know them. The Most High has us all separated, so he can work with us individually. He separated Abraham from his family. He will separate us too, and cause so that he could work with us like he worked with Abraham. So by the time he was finished with Abraham, he could tell Abraham, that son I promised you, offer him up. And Abraham willing to do it. He's willing to do it. Okay. He could tell Abraham, you 99 years old, your wife is 89 years old, you're going to have a son. Abraham and Sarah believe him. That's the development we need. Praise the Most High. To the point where he didn't call Abraham just his servant. He called Abraham his friend. That's powerful. That's powerful. Let's have a word of prayer.